Drinking coffee out of that.
I haven't got mine yet. Where do you want it?
Yeah, but no, it's not the same.
My hammer heat up. Yeah. Soften it that much.
In Maine. Yeah. I think
I watched it.
That's late.
you identified most of it.
I'll just call it bush side. I've cut some pretty serious.
Is that what it does when you're hitting it? It makes the metal button.
It does. It's fine. So it's quicker than trying to grind it all out. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
It's quicker than trying to grind it off.
Want to gather around here a little bit. We're going to start just by siding. My son and I'm Roger Shattuck, and that's my son Mark, who is hammering the scythe here. And my wife is Nora, and his wife is Liz, who is over there. And the four of us, whether you like it or not, are going to be your instructors today. But the other two, the wives, are advanced scythers too, as you will see. So we're just going to, we started this all out last night. I have a swath here. A swath is what you mow. It's the hay you knock down, and there are two swaths together. People used to mow in gangs, up to 10 men or so if it was a big field. And I have a line here from Frost himself where he describes what happens if one mower coming behind the other is too strong. And he says, this is out of a poem called The Code, which is a long narrative poem, and that he couldn't lead, them that he couldn't lead. This is a son of a gun of a farmer who owns the land and doesn't know how to run his men. So them that he couldn't lead, he'd get behind and drive the way you can, you know, in mowing. Keep at their heels and threaten to mow their legs off. I've seen about enough of his bulling tricks. We call that bulling. So bulling is coming too fast behind the previous mower. Come on, Mark. Now, one preliminary remark. These scythes, most of them, are very sharp, and some of them very pointed. So please, when anyone is handling a scythe or mowing, no one should be closer than 15 feet because they can be misused and raised up in the air. They should stay flat on the ground, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So stay away from the scythes. That's why we have them all lined up there. You ready to go, Mark? breakfast time. Now, if you want to look at the ground, you can see it's just about long. Three things. We have the instrument. I guess I better get my instrument. We have the grass. Fortunately, this is very good grass. The other kind of scything that's done is for grain like that, buckwheat like that, or wheat, oats, where you don't want to scythe close to the ground. You want to scythe usually just up the top to get the grain, and then there'd be another cutting to get the straw. If you know your Wordsworth, there's a poem called The Solitary Reaper, which John Elder is going to recite to us now. In The Solitary Reaper, can anyone recite it? You will notice that she, I can't recite the whole thing, but she lowers her head over the sickle. She is using a sickle to reap what is grain. And a sickle, you know, is a short-handled, very curved blade. The case, but that all of you are here, or most of you are here, to learn a little bit about using a scythe. When I was in the training for the Air Force a few years ago, the first thing we learned was something called the Gump check, G-U-M-P. That was so you wouldn't kill yourself first. That meant gas, undercarriage, mixtures, props. Those are the things you had to check before takeoff and before landing. I'm going to give you a Gump check for scything. Not right away, but after I get through this. So you will have 3 rules of thumb. It's PSP, but I'll tell you in a moment. That has no literal or obscene meaning or anything like that. It's just PSP. Your blade, your scythe, when you're scything grass, should never leave the ground. You will see pictures of people using a scythe as if it were, someone said last night, an 8-iron. They got the blade way up here. First of all, it's dangerous, and it's bad scything, and you're wasting your efforts, and you're not getting any grass up. The only way you're going to get the grass properly is close to the ground. And of course, the reason is also that you can't scythe anything up here. It is even more lonely. You don't have to, unless it's terribly thick or terribly woody or wiry grass, there's not all that much effort involved. You have to be strong body. My son and I use 2 different strokes. I tend to use a rotary stroke, pivoting around the body. And he uses more of a reaching stroke. And they're both possible strokes, and you use a combination of both strokes. Where's Liz? The depth that you have here between the toe and the heel, somewhere between 3 and 4 inches at most, if you're getting a full stroke. So just gradually, as you go down the swath, each time you swing, you've got about 3 inches. But 3 inches, you can go all the way around the world. Someone will do it sometime. just by those small increments. Don't try to take any more. But try to carry it all the way across. Wrote a poem called Lodged. Now, I bet you most people don't know what it's about, but it's a mower's term for the worst kind of grass you can find. It's almost impossible to mow. You have to get underneath it, but it's sitting down flat. Frost uses it to describe a stand of flowers, but it's just like a stand of hay. So here is Lodged, L-O-D-G-E-D. The rain to the wind said, "You push and I'll pelt." They so smote the garden bed that the flowers actually knelt and lay lodged, though not dead. Period. I know how the flowers fell. Now that's an illustration for some things that will come later on that I think Jared will talk to us about.
This is interesting. This is maybe when they're really working it, he does that. It's like catching up. Yeah. It's like dropping.
Just playing right in the grass here, right on the
If you will work it. You know that? He and I were last night. What he's supposed to be talking about.
Doing well. You don't want to overdo anything in
Oh, sure.
Yeah, don't get it back there because you're not cutting quite enough to toe it down. To toe it down. Well, that's nice. You're lifting it off and back. Just 1 minute.
The whole thing's called a crane.
They're big. Yeah, I've seen it. Come on. I've never seen anybody getting that. With all these sides now, first of all, that he could do that. But we see if you want to have you pay for it. Well, we're going to that many hours a day.
So my husband and I want to farm. So am I standing in the right place? That's cool.
I'm not getting this piece either way.
I know. This is not.
You have a wrench? Yeah.
I've got it with me.
There's a wrench there on the bench. It was. It'll make a good deal of difference. Because then you'll slice rather than cut.
Yeah.
And if you just change that position,
That's good probably too. I don't know why I have it at.
it shouldn't be the only position.
Go a little bit longer.
Yes. We always have these two positions on the American side, or sometimes three. And you want it to be in this position where you lower the blade in order to increase your half. In other words, in order to slice, you don't want a right angle, you want a normal. This has just about enough. You really could have a little more. So this can be the nibs of the handles loosely. They can be moved, right? So you haven't had a side. You want to try?
Oh no, I'm just. Come on, Lisa, get in there. No.
Yeah, well, you can see Tony's going at it there. Tony, I want you to change your blade. It'll be much easier for you.
Yeah.
Side has to be sharpened on a grindstone. Yeah.
Well, actually, this could be hammered. This is an Austrian blade.
Is that an Austrian blade?
Yeah.
Really? Oh yes, it doesn't look like. Yeah.
But it has been ground.
It has been ground. Yeah.
This has a little rugged butt stuff.
Yeah. See, the angle that they get on this one is not by bending the snap, but by just bending what's called the tongue here. And this will lie pretty flat on the ground. Does that feel better?
Yes.
Cutting grass low, cutting grain. Can you use a scythe to cut grain?
Yes. But they usually use it's cut with a cradle. Took off 6 to 8 inches from the top. And then they come and cut the straw. Or they leave the straw for the peasants and the kids will come and gather it up. Everyone's had a chance then. All right. We still have it.
I would say the biggest. The library is good. It's very focused, and the farm equipment is good. Science laboratory, and basic things like microscopes and all that.
And moving your bathroom.
Great. I don't know very much about fundraising.
I'll tell you what, after one little row, the idea of that thing is blow.
Yeah, just like real.
It would be daunting
It looks, I mean, it isn't, but it looks much more like hair. I just individual pieces
And I think that
I would imagine that you
natural.
she didn't call. She did.
That's good. It's a little heavy, the grass. So you're going to get that when you get towards the end. So you just keep the heel on the ground, like swinging your left hand close to your waist. Yep. That's good. Can you tell the difference when you're keeping the heel on the ground?
Cushion a little closer to the ground too.
You're doing well.
Tony's going to bull me.
Yeah, I'm not going to pull you.
That's where the word bullion comes from. You get so much energy, both people, while you pull him.
So you missed the other uses of the word gump.
The bullion, boiling.
The grass underfoot, most perfect.
Gas, undercarriage, mixtures, props. Got them to order me.
So it takes a different stroke when it's washed, doesn't it?
Getting unmodified metaphors meant perfect.
When it's lodged, on this way, try to get around and back up. Then you can do it pretty easily.
Gotta let it get warmed up.
tree mower. Yeah. No, very high. I think
Get those grunts a little louder, would you?
Those are the size.
Speak to me?
Those are the size.
Say that again?
I don't know if we're talking about the size and the size.
Yeah.
You're saying you were running. That was great.
Okay. Is it,
How do you feel?
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pick me up on a little stuff here and there, whatever.
Yeah, right. I think your left arm, you might keep it straight and really pull it behind you. Pull it right out behind you. It does the work.
So keep the heel down a little bit there, Ross. You hear me, Ross?
Ross is doing the log.
Excellent job.
I need a little practice, I think.
Oh, it's in the family.
What do you think, Mother?
I think that we've got lots of fields that need mowing.
4 days into the field.
Diane?
Talk like that. Oh, it's got something like that.
Yeah, somebody's headed to the population.
You're wearing that away, so eventually you'll need a new blade. Are there
For now, especially because it's wet. They'll keep it there. It'll be good. It'll be bigger with something. This is closer, and then Liz has. You still have that stone?
Yeah, what is it? Never was asking.
This is grit that's been glued onto this stick.
Okay.
This is nice because it's away from the
this kind of feels
When will the Edison
Oh, lots of little surprise, I see.
Yes, it is.
I sent somebody over there to use that side. I'm missing 5 sides.
This one I need to have. What it does is it floats a little bit.
We're not going to hurt you. Yeah. Good. Isn't that interesting? I'm not going to blow it.
We're going all day long, Mark. Right? Yeah.
Larry Kelly and Mo.
Definitely a style difference.
I just ordered it at the bookstore, but they had it Yeah. That's what I had heard, so I In a circle.
But then next time you look up, it's further up. They pulled out logs out of Lake North and Mega Island 20 years ago on a shorter side, and they would plywood down there hardwood logs and building the softwood logs, hardwood logs, they chopped out and they knew it done. They were great an article given them advice right? During a board, using a flying plane, four-side square,
Tough do, so then I needed to put a little bit in. So I can hear the distinct grumbling, not of thunder, but of hungry stomachs. So I would invite you all to our breakfast at Dunbar Hall, at Sterling's Dining Hall. And we'll begin there at 8 o'clock in about 10 minutes. So we can take our vehicles and go in that direction. Bringing gladness to the bridge. So I think what I will do is I have a truck here. Once everybody leaves, I will put the size in a truck, and some people have asked about purchasing some of those size, and certainly we can do that as long as the size lasts.
Stones will be for the
Where does the flat ones go? So they're the ones saved at the top. Oh, they go in there. So you see them. They'll bury them.
The big heavy ones go on the bottom.
I'm trying to get to the big heavy ones.
Good?
Yeah, watch it, yeah. Okay, I'm going in more. Now for me it's going to be to, you may want to look low. So we don't pop our... 1, 2, 3. You gonna come over, or you want to keep rolling right over? Which side you?
Yeah, we'll have to roll. See how start with? You can imagine setting this. So now we can just roll this right through here. So we
you want to swivel it?
Could use either of these
Glad you
faces.
invited Terry.
I think because it was down below grade, this is kind of a slope, so it's okay. But I think maybe the best way to have it is this one, or the caveat is that if it was this way, it's tying more of the wall in.
Yes,
This
yes.
is not.
Yes.
Let's try lifting it this way.
Yeah, which way do you want to go?
I think up this way and
Up,
then
over?
over.
Okay. 2, 3. Okay. And then over on that side? Yep. Let's try to keep it up. Yeah. Just move these. So which one is it? This? Which is the face? This is the face?
I'm not sure.
Do you want to get it flat? Get it flat.
Let's get it flat and then just swing it back.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on a second.
Take a few of those. You got to be the same. One piece or two.
One. Two.
Nice face.
I think just my end needs to go.
Okay.
So how can just leave it where it's at?
Oh, is that what you do? Oh, I thought we were going to slide it in. Okay.
Put another little. Still another.
And it's out. Yeah. The right hand end is okay, but your end is come in.
What's that? His end?
No, just this one.
Just this one, yeah.
And he's on, yeah.
You want it down?
Yeah, we'll flip right over.
The only good thing is that if we're going to roll on it, we might actually be able to roll it.
There's a marker, so you've got to work. Put it right back.
Yeah, who put it back?
Mark that hole.
It's in pretty tight. No, I think we got to move that stone around it.
Well, we're going in a second.
No, we can move it around.
Okay, bring it this way.
Really. Swing it. Which way you want to swing it? Yeah, you want to swing it the efficient way. Yeah. Push that corner up a little bit. I'll drive it over. Come from this corner.
This side down, this side up, don't you notice?
That should be the face.
This out, and this down.
You want to flip it?
I think they're gonna want this.
You had a good
Yeah, I gotta get it. One more.
No, okay.
Just a little bit on that end.
If we were actually building this and we were, you know,
Yeah, I guess so.
you wanted
I
to
don't know,
actually
because,
have it be a long run,
we got about the
the
same
first thing we would do is actually dig down, put some gravel down.
I wondered about that, yeah.
You wouldn't want to build it on a small wall. We'll walk around and look at some small ones. They won't tend to settle as much. But if you're going to make something this high with this type of stone, you'd see it disappearing after a few years. So
How much would you dig?
you don't have to. It's not like you're doing a footing where you need to get below the frost. You just want to get down below the topsoil, down, you know, and put down, maybe dig down a foot and put in 8 inches of gravel, so that these stones would then sit down in 5 or 6 inches. And with the bigger stones like this, you'll get some settling, but not as much as you would just laying in mud. I mean, down there, when you put the rocks down, you'll see it sink.
Yeah.
Moist enough in the soil. I did it.
I guess you want the toe
Yeah, so
move it.
That way you can do it.
Move it a little in, just
So now we gotta think about
The other end.
both sides. Both sides.
pretty much when if you were hired to do this, a goal you'd have is for 2 people to get 25 square feet, 25 linear feet. So probably a length between here and that post finished in a day. And it's really interesting because I only do it for a couple months out of the year, but the whole thought of having your whole day be gauged on a certain output of stone wall or certain the wall we're doing that I'm working on up in Stowe right now is actually it's veneer on a house and it's all marble. And this guy wants 25 square feet of marble laid a day. It's like, gosh, I mean, that sometimes you only have 5 or 6 feet by lunchtime, and you have this pressure like, oh, I'm not working fast enough. And so it's not a fun environment.
What about some of these bottom things here? It's pretty heavy.
Where'd you get the shawl?
I have a tape measure floating around.
Whose kitty?
Probably gonna move.
Whose kitty is that?
This is tiny.
And so this might be the edge of the wall. You could put some stuff here and just build up from there. But you don't have to go out from there. Let's just let that be.
So look for something that has other ways. That's it.
I think so.
That one looks like a great. This guy does it. We need a.
Well, bring your Visa cards.
On this side, because that side, well then would you want that maybe now? I was going to put this on top of it.
Mark, you want to slide this closer?
The big ones are 1.25. But those, by 3
Did he say like this way?
So we're going to go here, and then the next one's going to have to go like this, right?
Talk about a triangle.
Now we need to clean out the other ones.
Find what it was. That's about the width of the
Frisbee throw, yeah.
Fit in there and take these out.
Something under that.
I do, and it's interesting. Take this giant chunk of rock, and you'll set it every 8 inches or 6 inches and pop it, and that kind of an impulse on the rock. It may not be a completely regular face. Other times they're actually sawn and using a dark diamond carbide blades, and they'll have that real smooth polished finish.
Yeah. But I've actually seen squares in floors and on walls. Italian marble.
That's all cut. Yeah. See how that's going to break right along.
Right down the line. Yeah. Not where you wanted it.
No.
Slide that into tuck that into the corner and have the shade. Yep. They might.
We just need something to cut off more or put something underneath it again.
It's a little lip here.
Yeah.
Got a good line.
We got a... Oh! Not soapstone. Oh, it's a cup?
Oh, you mean exchange them? Take this one out?
No, we're right on the line.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
That's happy, that's it.
I'll have to get something with this.
Flip it over.
That's nice.
It slopes out.
Good finishing point. Well, what do you think about this stuff here? No, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just curious about what your thoughts are about what you thought here.
too small. In my opinion, they're too much small.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, you need something more. I see that. It's a little bit.
Create a mess for yourself. It's not impossible to get out of, but it always is.
He always says
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is a little tricky. You might want to find something that has a better face because it makes that big opening there. Although this outer edge is lined up, it creates a kind of cavern. When you look at the wall, you gotta jump on this side. So it's lined up and it's solid, and that's really important. And it's just how well everything's interconnected, and some of this is a little the faces aren't great. I mean, this is a tough thing to do when it's at this low. I would err on digging out underneath that rock so it sits down flat. Even at the expense of having better to have this part out below, beyond the line and have this top edge lined up with the line, but having it sit flat. So you're saying in order to have that sit flat, that's going to, because of the angle, that's going to be out beyond the line. The bottom of it. That's fine. But don't redo it. Just but you can see what kind of mess creating. The art is to build something that's easy to build on top of and not creating a nightmare for yourself.
Between those two big places.
There's some capstones and somebody put a little mortar underneath, and that step was built afterwards.
That's right. And with the terrace we laid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The corner is these ends here. And anytime you have an end or a bend, we're on the cutting edge. Bend there. That's when you really want to really focus on saving those nice long square stones so you can have a beautiful tie-in. Otherwise, because this is where it's going to get. This is where people are going to walk by. This people are going to sit, and the more stable and interconnected you can make that, the longer it's going to stay up. This is nice because it's a small wall, but if you made this a foot wider and a foot and a half higher, now you've got a lot more mass there, and that interconnectedness is going to play even a more vital role. So down here, and also they have. I mean, this is. You couldn't ask for better stones. I mean, you could almost,
It's not like ours.
But they're over there. It'll be a different look, and it doesn't have to be. Look at this. I mean,
the ones
almost
that
like
are
somebody,
here are all square. The ones that are over there are odd.
You don't have to. You can have.
I think somebody was
like
busy with those
still
chisels.
Have it be a really pleasing wall visually to look at from a distance. A lot of times when I was first building walls, it's like, oh, there should be no airspace. I want everything tight, and a lot of times, most often, you're not blessed with those kind of stones to work with, and you shouldn't try to fill in every little air hole, because then it looks cluttered. To me, it looks like, first of all, they don't last, and the first frost, they're all going to pop out, and you have a bunch of rubble. But it looks like it looks like somebody went back through and just pasted all these. You see this big wall with all these big stones and all these little stones in between, and that to me looks better. Just leave them out.
But you see, they also put in.
So how long did it take you to build this, Dr. Osborne?
What?
How long did it take you to build this, Dr. Osborne?
This was all of. It was hard to get them quite like this. It's a little rough. Yeah, as you can see.
Where's the Terry Osborne plaque?
The Terry Osborne plaque is still being engraved, isn't it? Ross?
Yes, that's right. We're having the dentist is engraving the plaque.
I can't wait. The dentist has done a lot of plaque engraving for me.
Can we leave that, Ron? Find
Beautiful. Okay, well, this maybe is the stone or not the stone to span. What if can I destroy this? So here's an idea: is if you can have something that kind of is narrow, like this, it can be a big stone, but have just this portion of it overlap. Break that joint. Yeah. Okay.
How do you make square holes? That's tough, eh?
What do we got here?
He's not interested in how to make.
No, I want something that's thin. That base to be about 3 feet wide and be freestanding, so that you would have the wall done before you excavate it, before you backfilled it. You might not do it. You might not. Yeah, definitely. Yes. Yeah. Depending on the height, you give it more and more of a slope. But you have to charge more than that. See, have to take into consideration the volume of stone if you were building a retaining wall like that, because you eat up so many stone. You eat up so much big rock in behind the wall that you'd have to add that in. Yeah. But we did a wall that was about, I don't know, 200 yards, and it started out about just like these dimensions at the top of the driveway, and it went down, and then it got, the driveway was kind of elevated above the terrain below. And so what we did was from the driveway, it appeared as that wall was about 32 inches high. And as you drove down the driveway, all you saw was 32-inch high wall. But behind it, it dropped down. It started out being flat ground behind the wall, and then when we got down, it was about 6 feet high. So it looked perfectly level and a constant height down the driveway. But the backside dropped up, and that's what I did here. I started at 24 and went to 30 something, 36 or so. So that from here, the driveway, this would look level, even though the grade dropped.
It's way up where there shouldn't be any more fields, but there's a field. It's mowed. We will follow this. It is pleasing to see that so many people have stuck it out. We started 3 days ago, I hope you realize, and we're still here somehow. And 3 days ago, Ross mentioned some poems that he read in the far west, and I'm going to read those poems. And I have a few copies. If after the reading you still think you want to find out what was on the page, this is a kind of illustrated, these are tear sheets from the magazine, except the last sheet I had to reproduce by mechanical means, and it didn't look quite so nice. The original title of these 9 short poems was Field Work, but someone else had used that title, whose name has been mentioned several times here. And so the name of this set of poems is High Mowing. One, conundrum, which is another word for puzzle. What barbless hook has caught, I'm having trouble reading this because it's light. What barbless hook has caught more foodstuffs in its day than the harpoon? What revolutionary one-man implement stands equally for plenty and mortality? Question. 2. Post-pastoral. This is written, for your information, in syllabics. There are no meter, 6 syllables in each line. It's an experiment for me, but 6 syllables count. Come play with me, all you who shun labor-saving devices, and I will let you work. The trick is not sport, not exercise. We shall devote ourselves to God's green grass, its care and reaping. Broad gestures that originally carved this landscape out of wilderness. My deadly, peaceful blade now can keep you and your dooryard trim. Then history. The early temple art of East and West shows slaves bent double to cut sheaves with jawbone sickles. Their heads bow to a ground they'll never own. The unknown laborer I celebrate attached a handle, raised stoop work peons by prosthesis into upright harvesters. Brooms straight or steam bent to lissom arabesque, the snath places the blade just right between the lay of the land and the set of your shoulders, a fearsome implement that lets you toil erect, near sovereign, surveying your domain and free to limber your entire torso in sweat-drenched labor. God, we've said all these things. All the words come back. I really thought of this as a, well, you want to know what a how-to book is. This is a how-to poem. And eventually, this is a poem better than Tresmer, see, that, teaching you how to sigh. So after history comes theory. Marx never swung a scythe, but you can, and earn the land you own, and earn the land you mow. Stand straight. All this is to be listened to. Stand straight. Rig blade and rig blade and grips so your toe touches its toe out front. Even swung back, the heel must graze the ground, your only gauge and guide. The broad circular cut you scribe around your stance, clean as geometry, devours a bare sliver of meadow with each stroke. Yet that inching 5-foot swath can flatten red top and Timothy enough in a morning for 20 bales. Call it a wagon load of hay, a wagon load of loose hay. Above all, no hacking. Just a firm grip, steady arms and shoulders turning like a horizontal pendulum till you feel the muscles in your back glow in a pulsing damp and draw the movement down into your legs. An old-timer swings from his shuffling earthbound feet, and when he gains the meadow's edge, mops his brow and glances back, content along the double track he's snailed across the upland stubble between a tidy windrow and still standing hay. There's one thing we didn't show you this morning. It was this morning. In certain conditions, if you've cut a clean swath and you look back, you can follow where your feet have just shuffled forward, like two rails, like the track, not of a man walking or a woman walking, but like a snail's track. And it's just there on the left of the swath. In one of these pictures in here, you can identify. 5, Owner's Manual. 1. Sharpness is all. That's my Shakespearean. Sharpness is all, is also terrifying, even unused as absolute power or stark beauty. All extremes cut deep, so beware of honed edges, keep covered till their time has come. Clover and alfalfa surrender on sight. When you've mowed much, I mean, those are pushover crops. Clover and alfalfa surrender on sight. June grass has learned to duck low and spring back. Still there are secrets. Hone your side so fine, its merest touch will sever life from death instantly across your whole sector. Attack so low, there's no play left in the stems to bend before your stroke, and haft your blade to angle back acute across the cut. You are not slashing sugar cane. These pointers for a start. The rest is practice. The grass will teach you. Owner's Manual 2. Steady mowing lays the mat of grass and vetch in curving lanes and bears the damp, brown, tender sod. Does it bleed in hues we cannot see? Will it ever green again? Learn as you work. Ground bees start humming when you're 4 feet off. Better go round. Horse-like, your gaits go smoother on a gentle upgrade. Avoid descents. A woodchuck digs his burrow by a stone and never fails to have a postern gate a few yards off. Find one, expect the other. How do you tell grasses from legumes? Not easy. Treasure the purple vetch, and above all alfalfa with its 12-foot nitrogen-restoring roots. Grow it and thrive. For pasture and for hay, most flowers are weeds. Dandelions and buttercups perish their broad-leafed imperialism, their yellow peril. Not even sheep eat milkweed, though they prize plantain. Watch out for goldenrod. Bees crave the blossoms, the pollen fells grown men. Its woody roots already signal hardhack or steeplebush, halfway to a tree, alder and cedar. Reach that stage and your meadow's gone. So wield your scythe for openness and liberty in order to command a view, to have your just place in the landscape, and to keep the country clear. 8. There was a time all art was allegory. Find me a Dürer or a Bruegel without a reaper, somewhere in the picture. Photography, they said, would finish painting. It did no such thing. Atget posed the Belle Époque on glass in his entire spellbound oeuvre of sullen city still lifes. Nothing moves. There's one exception. A peasant in broad hat and crooked pipe, mowing wheat across his sloping plot, surrenders in mid-stroke to optical arrest. This once, Atget accepts a blur. Scythe and cradle are barely visible, swift phantoms of themselves, the surest way in any print of light and dark to catch contingency.
As for the wood's excitement over you that sends light rustle rushes to their leaves, charge that to upstarted experience. Where were they all on 20 years ago? They think too much of having shaded out a few old pecker-fretted apple trees. So it's a passage about forest succession and the recovery of what was an orchard by forest. So it's my chance to try to relate forest succession to the familial story of my year. I'll break into the middle of this narrative and read a little bit to show how it works in this chapter. One stanza in Hardwood Groves from that volume connects the need to fall back into the fund of life not only with blowdown, but also with the annual descent of leaves. Before the leaves can mount again to fill the trees with another shade, they must go down past things coming up, they must go down into the dark decayed. I feel frost's struggle in the reiterated must, as in the phrase dark decayed. Decomposition at the bacterial level may be easier to contemplate if one leaves one's own body out of the picture, but only with an inclusive perspective on the universal breakdown of organisms can one look past it to new life. Only by adopting a timeline that comprehends the visitations of glaciers and the rise and fall of whole forests may one draw the lesson home. This is the tough but liberating view of life, taught by the memory-tangled, ever-new New England woods. Without Frost, it would have been much harder for me to appreciate the human meaning of these woods. Growing up in Northern California, I was within a bike ride of your woods. That grove of redwoods was my criterion for natural integrity as I began to enjoy nature on my own.
I was stunned to read John's book last month because I felt as if I had read my own book. As I said to John last night, it's not a book based on Frost poetry, but ethically it's doing the same thing. This is a book that started 10 years ago with a vision of a 24 square mile view of Connecticut River Valley, which came by surprise when I was looking for when my wife and I were looking for a house to buy in Thetford. And in fact, it was the view that sold the house to me. That view, from the instantaneous look at it, has guided my life for the last 12 years. And it came out of nowhere, it came by surprise, and I saw it and knew that I had come home, whatever that meant, and I'm from Chicago. The act of finding in a place not your home, that sense of connection and whatever that means, as I say, guided the last 10 years of my life and the last 12 years of my life, the 10 years in the book.
All seems somewhat shallow at the end of such a wonderful day that doesn't need to be summarized. But I am in great appreciation for your work, for mowing teachers, to the lady at the ironing board, who was my mother, the boy.